And welcome back to Day of the Week here on our awesome Tuesday. And Zach has a very interesting topic for us this week that he has been very passionate about for a while.
I do. Are y'all familiar with the alphabet?
Somewhat.
Somewhat,
so.
Jordan?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Rings a bell.
So, you know the letter C.
Yeah,
The
I'm very
third letter.
familiar.
I've
yes.
heard it occasionally.
It's the third letter. It's shaped like that. It makes a
The
k
listeners
sound.
can't see how you drew the letter C there.
I'm going to cut that out. Anyway, the letter C is stupid and pointless, and we need to get rid of it
That's an interesting argument, but I don't really see why.
because it's dumb. It makes two sounds. It makes a k and a s sound, which are
Okay.
already made by other letters, K and S. So why don't we just get rid of C and then replace every instance of the k sound, like cake or cookie, with a K, and then whenever it appears as a s sound, like a device, replace it with an S.
Okay, but what about words that, like, whenever they have a C, it's one thing, but when they have a K, it's something else?
Like what?
Like cookie versus kooky. You know what I mean. Like if you're kooky, like you're crazy.
Oh, kooky.
Kooky.
Okay, I did not understand that.
Yeah.
Kooky, cookie.
know what this felt.
But that's
Hold
one of the things where it's probably just whatever context it's in, you can understand pretty easily if they're talking about kooky or cookie.
Okay, but like, what if I just write on the board not free cookies. I don't know. I just don't
What
see.
do you think we're gonna think free cookies?
I don't
what
see
would you be selling
why-
in that instance?
Okay, I don't see why you need to get rid of the letter C. It's
Because it's redundant. We don't need it.
so there's a sticker on the board
Yes.
that says circulation.
Okay.
So you want to spell circulation, SIRKULATION.
Yes.
Circulation.
Yes.
Circus.
Mm-hmm.
SIRKUS.
Yes.
That's how you want to spell it.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, but like that looks stupid. It doesn't look clean and neat and round and bubbly. It looks harsh
K
and
is a
sad.
nice looking letter. All right, it's nice and angular. You're just conditioned to prefer the letter C because you've been seeing it your whole life.
Okay, but like, what if we just got rid of the letters S and K and minimize the alphabet? If we have to get rid of a letter, why get rid of the letters that can be replaced with other letters?
Because when you see a letter, you want to know what sound it makes. You want to see a K and it makes a K sound. You don't want to see a C and then figure out, oh, which sound does it make?
But that's also like circumstance. You can see a letter on the board in a word. Like you could see a C on the board in a word and kind of picture what sound it's going to make based on the other letters around it because you have been conditioned.
But that's also assuming that we're talking about people who already know how to read and write. For kids who are just learning how to read and write, it would possibly make it easier to learn the different sounds if the letter makes the sound that it looks like. But you know that in history, we have done this before where we've taken a letter out of the alphabet, like over time, and it's just completely gone now.
Okay. Like
There's-
what? Example?
There's been multiple instances. There was a letter called thorn, which looked like a P, but the curve was like in the middle of it. David, can you hear the difference between th and th? There's
Tiny bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the thorn made one of those sounds and TH made the other, but we just like both made them spelled by TH because you can't really hear the difference. Another one is the letter ash, which just looks like an A and an E just mushed together. They made an S sound, which is mostly just made by E's now. So there's plenty of instances. There was you know how most letters have, or not most, but a lot of words have two S's, like fusion. Those would originally be spelled with this fancy F looking thing. They were pronounced the same, but like the first S was like a fancy F and then another S. But there was a really complex set of rules for when you were supposed to use it, when you weren't. And so they just got rid of it and used two S's.
Okay, I found something that I don't think applies to what we're talking about, but I'm going to mention it anyway. C is really beneficial in programming languages for computers. But, I mean, I guess we're not really talking about
Yeah.
that. We're talking about more like language
No,
stuff.
that's not exactly relevant because we could easily take C out of, our written and spoken language, but then just keep it for computers. And then people who work with computers just know
We
it.
still use the letter ash just in your computers. You type with it. It's not common on most keyboards, but you can still type with it. It's not used for code, but
But what about
it's
in like
available.
languages where like we have accents on languages? Like, in like German, they have
The umlauts.
The umlauts.
In Spanish,
And
they have accents. Yeah.
Yes. And I know in French there is one, I think it's called like a Sicily or something. I can't remember what it's called, so don't quote me on that. But it's a part of the C. It's like a tail on the C, and I think it makes a certain sound.
It makes closer to like an S sound, something
No.
around that.
It might. I haven't taken French in years, but I remember it being a thing. So, I mean, it could be important in languages that we don't speak.
Yes, but I'm talking about English.
Yeah, how does
Okay.
that relate to us? Because for our purposes, we don't have those types of things, so it doesn't
Okay,
really
but
matter.
Yeah.
if we took it out of the English alphabet, would we take it out of like the French alphabet? Is the
Well, no,
exact same
'cause-
as the English alphabet? Which we take it out of the French
Oh.
language?
We have letters that are in our alphabet that aren't in French, and French has letters that we don't have. Like
Wrong, that's
you were talking
Spanish.
about. No, Spanish has the same alphabet too. English has a W. French doesn't.
Yes, it does.
What words in French have a W?
I can't think of any right now, but I know that there is W in French.
They have those sounds, but I don't know. I've never seen the
Mm-hmm.
letter used. They usually use like an O and U.
No, because I very vividly remember learning the alphabet in French and learning that it was a thing.
But I mean, either way, we're just talking since we are in America, we're American citizens. We're only talking about America. Whatever the other countries do is up to them. If they want to follow our lead, then sure, whatever. That's their decision.
You are correct. They do have a W. I'm stupid.
I know. So, I mean, I can't really argue this anymore because it does seem like a very sound argument. I'm just personally not in favor because I like the letter C, how it looks.
Yeah.
And I like it.
I was going to say, if you want kind of a silly argument against changing C, I think we mentioned this a little bit earlier, how if you're replacing C with like S and K, those have different shapes and they make words look differently. And this is all just aesthetic talking here, but taking out C, replacing with those letters would change the look of a lot of things. I mean, obviously the look of things doesn't really matter, but you know, it would annoy people in the transition period that things look different. And taking out the C would take away a lot of the rounded aesthetic of different certain words with C
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So, I mean, you could
I don't
say
see what's
that.
wrong with an angular aesthetic.
I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong. I'm just saying that
my
people,
preference
yeah, like Jordan
is-
here would rather have the rounded aesthetic, and I'm sure a lot of people would agree with her. And like I'm saying, it's kind of a silly argument because it doesn't really matter what the alphabet looks like. But you know, it's a reason for people to get upset about it if we
Yeah.
do change it. There will be people protesting just because they don't like how it looks.
I could get behind that protest right there. But I mean, you're right. There aren't really any solid reasons to not get rid of the letter C other than just personal preference. And I am a
I know.
personal preference person. I like the letter C. I think it's cool. I would rather, okay, no, I don't want to get rid of S. I like S too. S is fun to write. I am all in favor of getting rid of K. I don't like K.
K.
I don't like the letter K. It looks weird. You know?
Well, if you're so focused on aesthetics, you can get rid of K and then make the C exclusively make a K sound,
I'd be down for that.
and just remove any instance of it making a S and replace that with an S.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
I could
That's an
see
interesting proposal, but that would take a lot more effort, I believe.
it would.
Because it'd be changing like two different letters there instead of just taking out one, you know. But I mean, still possible, I guess.
I would rather take out K than take out C because I mean, like, I don't know. I don't really have a reason behind it just for how it looks.
Okay. Now C is probably the most used letter that I want to get rid of.
That's another thing. It's a very heavily
It's a very
used
heavily
letter.
used letter. That's why it would probably be so hard if anyone were actually taking this seriously. But also, the letters Q and X also need to go because
I
they
can-
also make sounds that can be made with other letters.
I can understand getting rid of X.
X, because that just makes a K and
Yeah.
S sound or a Z sound.
I can understand it, but
But-
it saves time writing. And our generation is all about saving time.
What are you going
But
to do
you-
with that extra quarter of a second
Yeah,
you,
and you
you
can also-
saved not writing a K and S?
Doesn't matter.
You can also argue that if you're going to say that our generation likes to save time, our generation is also one who's so heavy on technology that who's going to be writing anyways? It's more important about the typing aspect of it.
Okay. So, I mean, is it quicker to type 3 other letters to replace just 1 letter? And I mean, if I went up to somebody and say, would you like the quicker route or the longer route if you're busy? People don't care what it is. If you say quicker, they're going to say, give me that.
Yeah, but once they actually get into it, the difference is so negligible. It's not going to matter.
Okay.
Like
So
I
how
said,
would you go about getting rid of these letters?
You just take them off keyboards.
What about books? What about government websites?
We need to spread awareness of how the letter C is dumb. We need government programs. We need campaigns in libraries talking about how C, Q, and X are stupid and need to go. We indoctrinate children when they're young. I'd start preschool when they're first learning the alphabet. We don't just not teach them C. We tell them about C and that it's terrible and how they have to avoid it.
You just tell them, you say
valid.
C, you die.
Oh my God.
You tell them Hitler's middle name started with a C.
Oh no.
Oh my God, you did
Anything
not
but
even have to
Hitler.
bring that up.
But
Maybe that was too far. I don't know.
I don't really have much else to say about it, but
But
there was a show called Elemental P.
oh yes, okay. Elemental P is both a musical and a book, and the basic plot of it is there's this tiny island where they worship the guy, I forgot his name,
Nollop.
Yeah, he was the guy who came up with the phrase "the quick brown fox." The quick.
Brown fox jumped
Yeah.
over the lazy dog.
Okay. Yeah, and because that's known as
we're gonna need a new phrase then.
They made
Well,
one.
they
That's
have-
the whole purpose of the show.
Yeah,
Really?
okay, so the purpose of the show is they have a statue with that phrase, and then one day one of the letters falls off, and so they go, oh, I guess that's, the ghost of Nollop telling us that letter no longer needs to be used, and so they ban it. It's like a whole big deal in the village where you can't say that letter. I think the first one was Z,
Yeah.
conveniently, because that's an easy letter to get rid of.
But,
and
yeah.
So once they put the ban into effect, no one was allowed to say the letter C anymore.
And if you did, you got punished. You were first time was a warning, second time was like a public beating, third time you got banished, and that was like,
That was worse
pretty
than
much
death
death.
for them.
yeah.
Because they were a really, really close-knit community.
And it ended up being that the glue was just falling
rotten
apart, yeah.
or something.
And
But the whole point is that throughout the entire story, more and more letters are falling, and therefore they keep banning all these letters until at the very end, the only letters left is LMNOP. That's where the name comes from.
they had to talk in just those letters. So I think going by that, if you just started banning letters, people would be infuriated. Or if you just started taking them away slowly, people would be like, and then say in 100 years.
Well, I'm not arguing for the authoritarian route if we saying you can never use C
Okay.
ever or you'll get the death penalty. I'm just saying as a society we just move on from it. It becomes a fun fact like, hey, we used to use this pointless letter.
But if you do get rid of C and then Q and X, is it going to stop after that? That was kind of the whole point of the
those-
story.
Well, every other letter, at least that I can
But you
think
can
of,
find
has,
several things.
has
P
a
and
distinct
H.
sound.
P and H makes the f sound. Phone. Like,
Well, I'm not saying get rid of those letters, but in that combination, you can replace it with an F.
okay.
But so the P and H,
But
they
that-
make their own
where
distinct
does it
sounds. You can
stop?
keep them.
Where does it stop? Till we just use simple letters and there's no diversity in our words. And I mean, I think FON.
Well, I mean, I don't think you want your words to be too creative. You ever seen those people name their kids something normal like Brayden, and then they have a GH in there or something?
Kylie.
Yeah.
CHYLIE.
Like
Yeah.
Katie with a V in it.
Those people don't need to exist.
See that you don't want that.
I mean-
you don't want your alphabet to be too creative.
But it does make things more interesting in life. Having a very creative alphabet, having a very creative use of knowledge and vocabulary and words and how to move them around. Like my friend Kylie, her name is spelled really weird. It's CHYLYE. Everybody calls her Chili.
All right.
I know that was the biggest meme of high school. But it's just interesting because people were like, "Whoa, that's actually kind of interesting."
Yeah. Like if we're talking about making your kid's name spelled weird, like yeah, they can go too far to where it's a little too weird, but things like Kylie with a CH is kind of interesting, I think, and not that weird. Like it's not that big of a
Yeah.
deal anyways.
Like her little sister was named Charlie, CharLeigh. Like that's not how we would spell it, but it did make for interesting conversations and did make for an interesting kind of thing. And I think it was kind of cool.
And if we have weirdly spelt names like that here, like if we take American names and change the spelling of them in that way, then it can normalize foreign names to us, like really foreign names. It makes it, because like I feel like a lot of times if you're foreign and you come to America and you have a really weird name, I can't think of any
Are
examples
we
right
pushing
now.
the equality thing then?
I suppose that is where I'm going, yeah, because it's like people make fun of those with weird foreign names that are hard to pronounce, but if we normalize our own weirdly spelt names, that can normalize foreign weird names so that people will stop bullying them for their names and stuff like that.
There we go. Reason why we need to keep letters in the alphabet. We should not get rid of them even if they are kind of pointless. But like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem too pointless because it's more for diversity. It's more, you could just not play on words. Just, you could spell things differently.
Yeah, but in your alphabet, you don't really want that. You want it to be practical. You want to have a practical use.
That sounds like a personal preference.
That sounds like a personal preference. Maybe I don't like to be I'm half and half. I like to be practical for some things, but with words, I think vocabulary is one of the biggest things that you can learn in your life, and it'll help you get far.
Well, you have vocabulary.
And
you don't need those words to have complex
but it
spelling.
makes you sound fancy, and resumes and college applications like the use of fancy words.
Yes, and you can use fancy words and spell them phonetically.
Stupid.
You can spell them phonetically. If everyone agrees on how to spell it, like without a C or an X or a Q, colleges aren't going to care. They're going to, if you spell with a K, they're, what?
I'm just thinking about college with a K. And care with a K.
Okay, any opinions on this?
Care. Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think both sides have very good points.
I also see K as a harsher sounding K sound. I always picture
college.
College.
It makes a harsher sound to me, like kite.
But I feel like that also kind of goes to your point with the letter thorn that was removed, how the difference is so slight, does it really matter?
And if that's why we just limited it from thorn and TH to just TH, because TH was a more versatile, and thorn just made that one, like,
I don't remember which one
sound.
of the two it made.
Well,
but we still use that guttural sound. It's just,
well, K is a more guttural sound. Why doesn't it just go with C? And we can interpret it the way we want. If C is such a versatile word, like seen, SCEN, there must be a reason why it's SC instead of SS. But, I mean, the letter K, you could just interpret it as a harsher sound if you'd like. I mean, I don't know if that makes sense.
If we put K in words with softer K sounds, it's going to lose that stigma or connotation.
I just don't think that we should get rid of anything. Desk is also written on that sticker. Desk. If we wrote that with a C, it could be just des or something like that. But, like, I don't know. I'm just for not getting rid of any letters. And I'm sure that that's what they said back in the day when we got rid of thorn and ash. But, like, Well,
then maybe we should just have some kind of vote on it. Because, I mean, obviously, those letters you brought up, they got removed somehow.
Okay, so how would you go about it personally, getting rid of this stuff?
We start a huge PR campaign. We educate people. I think I already explained this. We teach them that the letter C is dumb, and we convince them not to use it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying any of this matters. There's no but. I'm just...
Yeah.
None of this matters.
Yeah, none of this...
I mean...
everybody can agree none of this matters.
But you also mentioned how you wouldn't want to, like, put any kind of band on the letter or anything, or not have any figure telling you, hey, you can't use C, you're going to die.
Okay, yeah.
So in that case, you would really have to be persuasive to convince people, like mostly people who are already adults and, they're used to C. Like if I'm an author, you're going to have to really convince me to write my book with your letters. Does that make
this-
sense?
this is gonna have to-
You would have to pay me a bunch of money to stop using C.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
this
because
is a
I'm stubborn.
multi-generation campaign because older people are probably going to be stuck in their ways. You're not going to
Okay.
convince them, but you start with the younglings.
But if you're not
And
going to be able to
then-
convince the adults to do it, why would you be able to convince them to let their kids learn it that way?
Exactly. That goes into the whole thing. Like it just takes one person.
It can be just like
to
cursive.
start that.
It could be just like cursive. Our parents learned cursive, and that's slowly getting phased out because it's pointless. And I don't see a lot of parents really complaining about it.
That's a good point. I don't know. I haven't
But
seen
that's
anyone
not
use
changing-
cursive.
That's not changing the
forever.
language. That's changing the writing style, not the language itself. The language itself is sound. The writing style can be changed. It went to text, but it's not changing the language itself. That would be a much harsher change, especially for people who have been speaking, and especially for people who are just coming to the country and learning to speak English in this time of transition. That would be very confusing to them.
Yes.
Like, how would you pull that off? Do you have to close the country for forever until everybody's
I
cool?
mean, isn't that what Trump's trying to do with the wall?
That's true.
We're not
Maybe
getting
Trump.
into that.
Maybe Trump is preparing us.
For removal of
That's-
C.
That's his master plan.
He's quarantining us from the rest of the world. But it gets into the topic. Like it just takes one person. Like there are things. Like I remember last year we learned about what's it called? Changing our kids' genetics and making them taller, smarter, more athletic. It just takes one person, then their kids, when they grow up, they're just like, I want my kids to be just like me. And then they have their kids, and then their kids do that. And then the next thing you know, everybody's genetically modified.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that applies to C, where if one person does decide to
Yes.
remove C, then their kids
They'll
will remove
teach their
Cs, and
kids.
then
They'll
their
teach
kids.
It's going to
Okay.
take a long
It will
time, but
take a
it'll be
very
a
long
gradual
time.
process.
Okay. I mean, I guess that does make sense because, like I said before, we've done this before in history and it worked out somehow.
Yeah. So, I guess in preference, I would not want this. But, I'll be dead by the time this happens.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
And like Zach, since you're so for this, you just go ahead and teach your kids not to use C, and then we'll start the chain.
yeah, you can
Exactly.
do that, and then everybody
do
will make
that.
fun of them.
Well,
I'll do that. I'm
It'd
not.
be-
I'm
ooh.
not going to teach Zach Jr. about the letter C. He's
Please
never
don't name
going to
your
know
kid.
anything about it.
you're going to spell his name with 2 Ks. Zach Jr.
Yes.
Even
his name.
better though, you should just be like a preschool teacher, so then you can teach a whole class of children to do it your way.
Even better.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I don't really know what you guys just said.
Oh, we're just making fun of Zach and his children.
Oh, Zach, your children are going to suck.
I mean,
Thanks.
if my children know your children, I'll make sure
Zach
they're
Jr.'s
nice.
already
Hold on.
getting bullied, and he's not even born yet. Come on, man.
Zach Jr. I'm going to bully Zach. I'm going to be like 50. I'm
come
going to
on.
bully your kid.
Oh, come
Hey,
on.
Zach Jr.
Zach Jr., you got me lunch money, punch your kid.
You're just like, come over to my house, we'll be playing with like toys or something. You'll just kick him over. It's like, welcome to the real world, kid. Zach with
That
2 Ks.
image of tiny you. Okay, one last thing that my brother mentioned that he totally got off the internet. Toddlers are just drunk midgets.
I thought you were going to say something relating to C.
Oh, no. Zach, you could probably cut this out, but I just wanted to say it
Okay.
because that made me think of it.
Okay.
This topic literally doesn't matter to anybody but Zach. So,
Got him there.
with that, I'm going to sign off. Thank you for tuning in to Day of the Week, and you can catch us on our next episode fairly soon. And adios.
Aren't you going to link to the Twitter or the
Oh yeah, we have a
Instagram
Twitter,
and
but
email?
I don't ever do that. Zach's my main man for the Twitter now, and he doesn't even have the password.
Oh, you're
I
so
mean,
you're so good at marketing, Jordan.
The
Hold on, I
viewers
gotta-
should also give us more ideas for really silly topics to discuss.
Oh yeah, also do that. If you actually want to hear something, email me because I do check it pretty regularly when I'm bored. But if I knew that people were actually trying to give me ideas, I'd be more interested. So please give me more ideas. Anything. I don't care. If you want to talk about the most serious topic, Tell me. If you want to talk about cardboard boxes, tell me. And we'll do it. Sounds pretty good? Sounds good to me. All right.
Follow us on Instagram
It's literally day of the week,
Day of the Week
24.7. So,
and
I
on
mean,
Twitter, but just Day of the Week 24. No 7, no dots.
Wait, really?
Yes, the Twitter handle is 24, no dots.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
You're the
cool.
one that made it.
I know.
So.
Okay.
Also, what's the email address?
Same thing as the Instagram, but at gmail.com.
All right.
All right. Sounds pretty good, fellas.